This production comes to you in association with the Bluebell Warrington. Situated in an 18th century building in the town centre and just a 5-minute walk from the HJ Stadium, the Bluebell is the perfect destination for pre- and post-game food and drink. The 2024 Warrington Pub of the Year is now the official home of Super League Raw on Warrington Wolves match days for both home and away supporters. Super League Raw are delighted to have agreed a members-only area, allowing our community to come together to discuss rugby league pre- and post-match. So set your course to the Bluebell Warrington on match days and beyond. You are sure to be greeted with a warm welcome and a cold beer. Super League Raw and the Bluebell, the perfect partnership in enhancing your match day experience. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. Different day, but same time. And as you can see, I can't have you there, Steph. I've got to do that. I'm just used to be, it's Ant and Deck, and you've got to be on the right side. You've got to be on the right side. Well, welcome to everybody who's joining us live on this different day, and to everybody who's listening on the way to work on a Friday to Super League Raw Weekly. Good evening to you, Steph. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. You?
Yeah, can't complain, mate. Had a couple of days in the wonderful Whitley. Whitby? Lovely place.
Fish and chips.
Yeah, had a bit of that. Yeah, in a Magpie Cafe. It was very tasty indeed. Very tasty indeed. So yeah, we're just the two of us tonight. Joel has got a meeting because it's a Thursday. He can't be with us. And ladies and gentlemen, sending our prayers and best wishes to Greg and his family because his dad is very ill in hospital. So Greg rightly is at hospital tonight with his dad, sending all our love and best wishes to all the Nixon family at this time. So it's just me and you, Steph. Just me and you.
How wrong with that, mate?
Just the two of us. It takes two, baby. You can be my Kiki D to my Elton John if you want.
Always, mate.
Always. You can be Dr. Evil, I'll be Mini-Me. Anyway, let's get into it. Right, loads to talk about. Before we get into the England first test, second test, all that, because, of course, we've got to discuss that today. We will be asking you for questions later in the show, so keep those stored up. And when I say go, give us your questions, get in there. And tonight we will answer any questions you've got. A little bit of a different weekly this week, but what we're going to do very quickly, almost hanging and banging, but not quite. We'll have a little chat around them. Going around the grounds, we'll start with KR. Quite a lot have happened this week since we were last together, Steph, in terms of Hull KR. First of all, Danny Ward going back to London. It's fair to say that he likes musical chairs, does Danny? He's been about in the last couple of seasons.
He has, but I believe he still lives in London, and I think he commutes to KR, so it kind of makes sense with everything that's going on there. And I know he was really well thought of in London. So I'm presuming he'll be going as assistant to Dimitri. So a good move for him. You know, he's had that great season with KR, or great few seasons with KR. Learned a lot, no doubt, under Willie Peters. So he'll have definitely have benefited from that experience. But you know, it's a fair old commute that to where your family is and stuff. So I can completely understand it. And with the way things are going up London, it could be a good move for him.
Yeah, it could be. It could be indeed. Iribi Doro goes back to Bradford for the third time. Been there. This is his second official signing. He went there on loan as well. But 3 times now at the Bradford Bulls. A lot of KR fans surprised at this one, Steph. I mean, obviously, we may as well bring Desiree into this chat as well because he's been announced as going in, Jordan Desiree from the Catalan Dragons. But a lot of the Robins fans were really impressed with Iribi Doro, a young athlete. I was quite surprised by this one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I can kind of understand it from his perspective because he's right on the cusp of, you know, what in regular first team Super League football now. If it had been Bradford in the Championship, then I would have probably raised my eyebrows. But he's going to get lots of opportunity at Bradford, and I think it's a really good move for him because. You know, he's going to have to be, you know, he's already shown what he can do at KR. He needs to cut some of his errors out, but there's no doubt he's a talented lad and he's got a great engine on him, and he's a worker. He's 100% every game kind of player, and he needs that experience now playing regular, and maybe playing for a team that aren't, you know, everything's not going to go all their way either will benefit him. You know, as well as daft as that sounds, he's going to have to go into the trenches a few times with Bradford, no doubt this season. So I can really see in that giving him a bit of steel. And he could turn into a superstar at Bradford, you know, given the game time, given the opportunity, regular football. I'm really excited to see how he does there.
Craig Force saying they must have a good curry house in Bradford as he keeps going back. Nothing wrong with the curry houses in Bradford. I don't mind telling you. I've had a couple of tasty dishes there in my lifetime. Sticking with KR, Jack Charles, of course, announcing to a last together. It's one of the worst kept secrets in rugby league that he was heading over to the old enemy. But this could really bite FC, couldn't it? If Charles was to go over to KR and flourish, it'd be very interesting, wouldn't it?
Would this one's a bit of a from a Jack Charles perspective, like we just said about Doro getting game time. I can't see how Charles is going to get game time, and it's all right saying he's for the future, and he may well turn into the future at KR. But he's another one, same as Jack Sinfield, falls into the same category that needs to move to a club where they're going to get regular game time. And his chances at KR, obviously with Tyrone May there, with Mikey Lewis there, he's not going to get in unless there's going to be an injury, and then it's going to be spits and spats. So if he goes out on loan, maybe to one of the other clubs, I can see why KR have done it if they're keeping him for the future, which is what it sounds like. So don't be surprised if we do see if Mikey Lewis and May are healthy, then maybe he goes to a club like York or a Bradford on loan.
Spicks and Specs, BG's. Well, that's where you were going for a minute, but obviously not. But no, it'll be interesting to see how Jack Charles goes. And I have to say, I mean, good evening to Alex Sharp, the Jack Sinfield fan club. He's alive and well. Even Snow White, Cinderella are getting involved in that one. But for those on the podcast, I am drinking out my daughter's mug. But yeah, no, good luck to Jack Charles. Jordan Desiree, I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, Lizone has gone from Leeds to FC, big unit, comes off the bench. And it's fair to say that Desiree is different to what KR have got in those middle units. I can understand why, just to mix it up a little bit, that Desiree has gone there from a Willie Peters perspective.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by KR signing him. I don't think he's good enough for KR. I think he's a Super League player, no doubt, you know. But a club that's just won Super League signing Desiree, that did raise a few eyebrows in my household. He may go there and do really well. He's another one that puts the effort in. I've just not seen any sparkle from him that makes me, you know, like it's not a wow signing. He's going to be a squad player, isn't he? But you know, Willie Peters has obviously seen something in him to bring him over, and you know, he's had the success with Morg. Maybe he sees the French connection working again in this one. So
Tell you what, cultured show. Gene Hackman's now made an appearance with a French connection. Good man. Loving a bit of that, no doubt about it. But, you say no sparkle. Maybe on the 5th of November, they'll have him with the El Sparklers, and gives him a bit more sparkle. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. With Jordan Desiree going off to KR. Let's go Bradford, because we've already gone Doro. They brought in Will Gardner from FC, Lachlan Lewis from Salford, and, of course, Nicarima from Salford. Nicarima, I think we both say, great signing for the Bradford Bulls.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously had a bit of a bad injury towards the back end of his career there at Salford. I think there was a few other Super League clubs sniffing. Maybe even my club in Leigh were looking at him at one point, but I think that injury put a few off as a deadline signing. But no, a brilliant signing for Bradford. He will shine there definitely, and everything that Bradford do well next season will be going through Nicarima. He's a talented player. We talk then about Desiree signing being a bit blah. I think the Bradford Bulls should be really excited about this one, because Nicarima is a talented player.
I agree. Good evening to Alan Clegg. Just come in the chat. Nige Bennett's with us as well. Andy Bibby. We'll get to that in a few moments' time. We're just a moments away from the Leopards as well, Zach Taylor, so don't worry about that. What's this new thing on YouTube? You boost? What do you do on YouTube, Steph?
Hype button.
Don't forget to hype us on YouTube. That's a new one on me.
I think you can only do it for shows you're watching back. You can't do it for live ones, I don't think.
Fair enough.
I might be wrong on that. But anything that you're watching back, if you watch us back, you can hype this programme.
Fantastic. We could do with all your support as usual. And if you're watching on Facebook, get over to YouTube. It helps us to grow our YouTube following. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell. If you ring the bell, every time we go live, you get a little update that we're live. And we do go live a lot here on Super League Raw. Sometimes within the drop of a hat, Mr. Sale. Within the drop of a hat. Nicarima, I think, is a great signing. Brilliant signing. I mean, Nicarima on his day, very, very good. And of course, Rowan Mills has gone there as well, hasn't he? So that's probably their starting 6 and 7, isn't it? Rowan Mills has gone to Bradford, hasn't he? Yeah, he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, another one who's played really well towards the back end of the season. So
I agree.
They've got a really good. Jordan Lilly's gone, hasn't he? So I think that's their replacement for him. So yeah, I think Milne and Nicarima are going to be a real handful for some sides next year.
Lachlan Lewis, I don't know what to make of Lachlan Lewis. I really don't. He has been unlucky with injuries. He's had a lot of head knocks as well in his time at Salford. It's a tough one to call, that, isn't it, Lachlan Lewis? No doubt about it. Decent pickup for Bradford. He's been plying his trade for Salford. They'll be hoping he can stay injury free. What have you made of Lewis?
Yeah, I agree with what you say. What I would say to that is when Leigh first came up, there was a few ones with the players Leigh signed, and it was like Robbie Mulhern, prime example. Some people were going, oh, that's not the best. I know some Warrington fans would disagree with that, especially with hindsight now. But it's all about really. These players are all talented. They wouldn't be playing in Super League or around Super League if they weren't talented players. The difference is your coaching and how you get the best out of these players. He's worked under Paul Rowley. It's not quite worked out for him at Salford. He's had some decent performances. But he's also very well known to Kurt Haggerty, isn't he? For that same reason. Yeah. So Kurt's obviously seen something in him there at Salford that he's wanting to bring into Bradford. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes there.
It will indeed. Right, let's get to your Leigh Leopards. Liam Horn announced since we were last together. Obviously, expected that Brad Dwyer moves on. Of course, Brad now, Mr. Property Man, probably got an eye elsewhere. But I think you've needed a good foil. I know that he's been trying Ben McNamara there, but I think you need an out-and-out 9. Ben, his versatility probably is going to cost him in his career, I would say, Ben McNamara. Great to have in the squad. Can't quite pin a place down. I think from your perspective, from the outside looking in, I can expect a Leigh Leopards fan, especially with the way that he's plying his trade at the moment in the Pacific Cup down under, that you'll be very, very happy that you've got this, especially if something was to happen to Ipape, this lad can go in there and do a proper job over 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, he's a really good player. I've thought a lot about him when he was at Castleford. I thought he had some great performances. Everyone obviously points to his discipline because he got that 6-game ban, I think it was, for one of his tackles. But I think going into the Leigh environment, Leigh were best disciplined side last year. That will suit him. I think working under Adrian Lamb will suit him. Obviously, there's the PNG boy sitting now, with our signings. But I think the really important thing is both him and Apape can play 13 as well, so they can all interchange with Leo. So it's all about this spine. And Leigh's spine is looking very, very strong now. So I think he's a great signing. Really good tackler as well. Really good defensive nine, but can also have the bit of flair plays in him. So I'm really pleased he's signed for Leigh.
Yeah, I think it's a great signing for Leigh, that Horn, good player. Thank you, Nige Bennett, the first super chat of the evening. Cheers to you, Nige. I hope you're well, mate. You look after yourself, and thanks very much indeed for the super chat. It all helps the channel, that, my friend. Thank you very much. Papa New Guinea, I can't say that, Craig, but good effort. Adam Cook has come in to the Leopard since we were last together. We did a big article on Adam on our website. If you've not seen that, go to our website, go to the blog. You'll see a lot of information with regards to his career today and a couple of highlights as well of Adam in action. We will continue to do that through the winter as signings come in. Obviously been having a bit of time with the family the last 3 days, but those will come back or with a vengeance this week. We've been talking about your halves for a while now, and look, as handy as Gareth O'Brien is, I've been saying for a while that to go to that next level, to get to a grand final, you're probably going to need to strengthen in certain areas. Of course, like with all of these, Leigh have got a great pedigree of finding these players and them hitting the ground running. I mean, look at last season, Ethan O'Neill, a perfect example. Of course, Tessie knew. So you've got to put faith in the process at Leigh. But if Adam Cook comes over and can hit the ground running like the aforementioned, this player could be that last missing piece of the jigsaw that elevates you into a grand final. Would you say?
Yeah, it's a big unknown. What we do know is he was New South Wales Cup Player of the Season 2024, which is not a mean feat, to get that. It's you've got to have something about you. You can look at the Canberra fans' reaction to it. They're really upset that he's decided to leave, which is always a good sign. And what you've got to look at here, especially with the Horn one as well, is the age of the players they're replacing or coming in, to potentially take their place. Gaz O'Brien, mid-30s, just shy mid-30s, 24-year-old replacement. Dwyer, 34 years old, 27-year-old replacement in Horn. Leigh are getting younger. I think the average age of Leigh's team next season at the moment is 26. So that's it's always been a plan to get younger, bring in more talented players. But on him specifically, looking at his highlight reel, and he looks like another Lachlan Lamb in terms of his cutout passing. He's got a great kicking game, both goal kicking, short kicking game, which is one of the things I think Leigh struggled with last year in terms of the kicks to in goal, forcing repeat sets. So yeah, really exciting. Obviously, there's a big if with him. He's got to come over and do the business. But as Reggie would say, he's got the potential.
He has got the potential. Marvelous stuff. Right, where are we going to go next? Let's go Leeds. First of all,
Finney's senior.
No, we've done him. We did him last week.
Oh, you're not doing all right.
We did this. Cam Smith got a testimonial. Richly deserved. We're big Cam Smith fans at Leeds Rhinos. He had a torrid 2025 with injury, but yeah, good to see Cam getting that from the Rugby Football League, and I'm sure that'll be well supported. He's been a great player thus far for Leeds, and he's got many more seasons ahead of him.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Cam Smith. I know he's had his knockers at Leeds. He's had some great seasons. He had some average by his standard seasons, but overall, on his day, he's one of the best 13s in the comp for me. Especially defensively, I think he's so solid defensively as a 13. And this is you judge some of they like two different positions really. 13 in terms of Super League, you've got ones like your Asiatas, and then you've got your ones like him. It's like your Cam Smiths. So I think he's a great player and well deserving of a testimonial. He's been a great servant to Leeds, and still young as well. Still got plenty in the tank for him to go. He just needs to hopefully have an injury-free season.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. From one captain to another, Ash Hanley has re-signed to 2029.
Yeah, brilliant for Leeds. Right up there with the best players Leeds have got, and you can see when he's not playing how they don't look the same side for me. There was always the big debate about his transition from wing to centre. I still think his best position's wing, but I think he's done a great job and proved me wrong a little bit. I didn't think he'd do so well in centre, but the games he played there last year for Leeds, I thought he did really well, and you could see as he was evolving through the season, getting more and more comfortable in that role. Did some great assists and some great tries from kicks as well. So yeah, really good news for Leeds.
Yeah, no, we're big fans of Ash Hanley, and I think it's fair to say, had he not have had his end of season injury problems, he'd have probably been in the Ashes squad, wouldn't he? And I thought Ash Hanley, no doubt about it, over Newman, I would have expected. Fraser Howard probably talking there about Cameron Smith saying he's got a fresh disc in his back. He should be firing again. All depends what tracks are playing on that compact disc, my friend. It all depends what he's playing on the disc. And as for Charles Whitehouse, give you a wobble, son. It will certainly not be Warrington's year in 2026. You're having a giggle, mate, albeit they will continue to sing the song. Right. Lockie Miller, another. I mean, it has been a week of re-signings. We'll get to Saints in a minute, but Lockie Miller signing on till 2027. 2 more years of the Miller at fullback. He'll probably extend beyond that as well. He's one of those players for me that you can't imagine him moving on. He'll probably stay. He's not going to go NRL. He's going to stick around Super League, and as long as he's playing like he's playing, Leeds aren't going to let him go. They're 2 really good re-signings, aren't they?
Yeah, Miller was really good in 2024. In 2025, he was exceptional. Really, really good, and
Push
no
field all the way,
coincidence.
didn't he? Push field all the way.
He did push field. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And along with Jared O'Connor, I thought was right up there with Leeds' best player last year. He had a fantastic season, so I'm sure the Leeds fans are delighted with that, as they should be. And I agree. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think he'll probably end his career at Leeds, bar some miraculous offer coming in from another Super League side. But he seems to have adjusted well to that club and really enjoys playing there, and quite rightly got a new contract.
Rebecca, our best marketing agent there, enticing people to become a part of this wonderful community. Well done, Rebecca. Right, let's go to St. Helens. Obviously, we did a big feature on Paul Rowley last week, and rightly so. Coach of pedigree. We wish him all the very, very best. This week, Saints have announced a lot of re-signings. Now, let's have a quick chat about this. Where are we going to start? Well, look, Leon Cowan, he's going to be there to 26. Jake Wingfield's till 2028. I thought Jake played well when called upon last year. I can understand that. Clark's extended an extra year to 27. Whitley's extended to 28. And Sirinen to 2027. That's the one for me. I didn't think Sirinen had a particularly good 25. I think he's a bit of a penalty machine. And if I'm a Saints fan, you're looking at the re-signings. The kids, yeah, Wingfield and Cowan, yeah, okay. Where's the fresh blood? If I'm a Saints fan at the moment, I mean, Paul's re-signing what he wants, and that's great. We know we can get a tune out of anybody, can Paul Rowley. But Saints fans are probably thinking, when are we strengthening? When's the incoming? And I think Sirinen for me fell a little bit out of favour last year by the Saints faithful. I don't think that one in particular. And Whitley as well coming. I don't mind Whitley. I think he does a job. But again, he was another player that. How many times did we see last year Saints fans going in on Whitley as well? Your thoughts on their re-signing stuff?
Yeah, well, I think with Whitley, he's not shown anywhere near the form he showed at Catalan. I was really excited to see him go to St Helens, and I think again an average season by him. And the surprising thing is to get an extension off the back of that season. The only thing I can think of there is, do you think Paul might be able to get more out of him? Maybe use him in a different way, and obviously Paul's coming to the party quite late in terms of signing season at St Helens, hasn't he? So you've got to work with what you've got maybe to a point, and then hope some opportunities come your way in the transfer market that haven't already been snapped up. So I still think Saints will do a bit more business. I think some things will potentially happen for them, but. He's definitely got a job on his hands, Paul, to get the best out of that team. But again, a team that got to the semi-finals and were one game away from the Super League Grand Finals. So it's not going to take that much. There's not a lot missing from that Saints side. It's just, I think, a bit of cohesion and things falling into place a little bit, and that can be done with one or two players or some change in coaching style or mentality. And they're well capable of getting to the grand final next year. So maybe they don't need. I just think they want one or two signings away. Saints. Defensively, they were sound. They didn't get the bums kicked, did they? Really, last season it was all quite narrow losses, and
the attack was blunt, and
yeah.
I think Whitby's a big one. I think they've got I thought he should have got more game time at the back end of last season. We all felt that, and I think he's a big one. The likes of Noah Stevens, he's probably going to need some time as well. He should be getting more game time. It's going to be interesting.
I think we might see that now because obviously Paul's not got the connection. Rowley to Paul Wellens to those players, so he may be a bit more ruthless with some of the more experienced players. And there's one thing for sure: what Saints can be excited about is they've got players like Dagnall, Whitby, Robertson. Some really good youth coming through there. I just think they're at the point now where they need to offload. They need to, like Leah did, get younger. They need to get younger, and they've got some talented young lads there already. I just think they need to be in the market for maybe a 24-year-old Aussie, that kind of player. But we'll see. But I don't think there's much there that Paul has to change. Just a bit of magic, bit of rolling magic.
Well, I mean, and let's be fair, we both think he can do that in abundance. Right, let's finish this little quick tour of the grounds with Warrington. Announced today, God bless Steve McNamara, Pangai Jr. will not be coming to Warrington. I have to say, happy days on that one. I mean, we said this at the time when they signed him. I mean, a lot of Warrington fans were scratching their head. I mean, you don't take Pangai Jr. to Warrington based on his Catalan performances last year. And I think there was a lot of Warrington fans going, what are we doing here? It didn't seem right. And it would appear that a lot of people saying that McNamara's arrival might have put a spanner in the works here with Pangai Jr. All I know is if that's the case, give him a birthday card, give him a Christmas card. In fact, give him a Christmas cake, as far as I'm concerned. He's already done a job and he's only been there 5 minutes. I mean, I don't think Warrington fans should be too concerned about Pangai Jr. not coming. Steph, do you?
Well, I think we were all disappointed with, particularly with his fitness. He didn't look like he was fit at Catalan. Now, you could argue that he was playing in a struggling side for most of the season. But would SAS have looked like Pangai Jr.? I don't think so. I think he would have been a standout in that team at Catalan last year if SAS was there. So, as a Warrington fan, I won't be too disappointed. I think there's better players out there to bring to Warrington if you are having a bit of a mini rebuild.
Well, I mean, on that topic, one that it's going to be one of these. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Warrington in terms of the back line. We know that Toby King, Toby King at the moment still at Warrington. There's been a lot of rumours that maybe he won't be there at the start of the season. Just rumours. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one. It would appear unlikely now that Toby's moving on. I would have thought
he signed an extension.
Well, I know he signed that last year, yes, but there was
you do quite with it today.
Oh, have they put that out today? Have they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no, I've not seen that. I've been busy.
Yeah. Sam Stone has made his loan move permanent.
Yeah.
Toby King, Jake Thulis, Sam Powell, and Geordie Crowther have all extended the stays.
Fair enough, that's fine. So they've decided on Toby. Now, my apologies, I only got back from Whitby an hour ago. Roderick Ty has been, I know Roderick Ty's been announced that he's leaving, and this comes back to, we know that they're bringing Hapuati in, but they've also brought in Josh Smith from the Queen, from second grade Australia. Only 24. That's a bit. I mean, I think Warrington fans will be a bit sorry to see Roderick Ty go, and I think Roderick Ty is a good pickup for somebody. He wouldn't have been on a lot of cap. I don't imagine. I mean, they brought Josh Smith in, who of course will take a cap space. This is an interesting one for me, and we'll only know once we're 10 or so games in if he gets a start, because there's going to be a lot of competition with Lindop coming back at Warrington in the centre spots anyway. But there's no doubt they were light in that area last year. They were very light. Once Lindop went down, it was problems for Warrington. So for me, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, Ty was great, wasn't he? He did a really good job for Warrington. Um, we'll see what this new lad's like. A bit again, like Lee's one, a bit of an unknown Queensland Cup player, I think. Is he Queensland Cup?
Queensland
Brisbane
Cup,
Tigers, yeah.
yeah, the Brisbane.
So a bit of an unknown, but Roderick Ty was good for Warrington. He was steady. Like I say, specifically defensively, he was very good. With him being he's PNG, and so he's probably coming to Leigh. But yeah, no, I think Warrington should have kept him, but we'll see.
It is an interesting one. I mean, don't get me wrong. This lad has it's a good try ratio, 41 in 76.
Yeah.
It's handy. It's a handy try ratio that for any player, and we know that it's a good standard of rugby. We know that. But yeah, very, very interesting. And of course, another very poorly kept secret, James Bentley. Greg will be happy. England international James Bentley's coming to Warrington.
Yeah. I'm not so sure for Warrington this.
I think what I would say, because I had a bit of sport with Greg over Bentley, you'll remember that, and we both did. What I would say is, I do think from a squad perspective, it's an upgrade on Fitzgibbon. I thought Fitzgibbon was poor for Warrington. I really do. And I think that Bentley's got a bit more about him. It's a close one, but I do think it's a slight upgrade.
I think my concern is, and this isn't against it because I don't know what happens or whatever, but we all know that he's got a bit about him, James Bentley. Well documented, off the field as well as on.
Yeah.
Warrington with a club that are renowned for, culture comes out a lot when you talk Warrington. And this is my concern. Yeah. If he was going to Wigan, I'd probably be a bit less concerned. Yeah. Under Matty P and the way that club's run and stuff like that. I might be wrong. Same as with Jake. It's a bit like the Jake Connor thing, isn't it? And we said Jake Connor won't work at Leeds, but yet under Brad Arthur, in that environment, he has. And this is why I don't think Warrington's the right fit for him. But happy to be proved wrong, and I hope he does really well.
It's going to be interesting, that. It's going to be interesting, no doubt about it. Yeah, so anyway, ins and outs at Warrington. I have to say as well, in closing at Warrington, I want to wish Alfie Johnson well at Halifax. I mean, it just goes to show how, from a Warrington, and look, I feel, I'm not saying Alfie Johnson was a poor piece of recruitment. I think that kid's got something about him, I really do. And, I think he's going to have a decent career in the game. But the fact that Warrington brought 3 players in last year and they've jettisoned 2 of them, big questions there. And the recruitment this year has got to be better. At least you know with Bentley what you're getting. They know what they're getting with Bentley. There's that everybody knows what you're getting with Bentley. I think the fact that Pangai Jr. is not coming is a masterstroke because for me, I just didn't see that. I really didn't. And that probably opens up a front row spot now. So it's going to be interesting to see who, if anyone, comes in to replace him.
Yeah, well, you've got a big gap to fill in Vaughan, haven't you, as well?
Well, Sopley coming in, haven't they? Who I think he's classed as being Vaughan's direct replacement. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but another unknown, isn't it? Again, you knew with Vaughan, he had a bit of a dip, but I thought he finished the season pretty decent until he got his injury or whatever it was that kept him out for the last few games. He had some good games. Probably his best game in the semi-final against Leigh. He had an absolute stormer in that game. Yeah. So he has got big shoes to fill there. So yeah, but again, it's a bit.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
It will not be Warrington's year. Spoiler alert! It will not be Warrington's year.
Well, this is the good thing, especially how often do we have players come and you think, well, the thing is a great example. Luke Keary, I had him down as Man of Steel potential as my pick, and turned out to be a flop, didn't he? Really, at the end of his career and whatnot, just not good enough by anyone's standard last year by him. But then you get the unknowns. and people like myself, they're going not really excited, and then they come and they set Super League on fire. So until the season kicks off, we're a few games in, we won't know with some of these, but I've no doubt some will definitely go well above our expectations in terms of performances.
Completely agreed. And just a note in dispatches, it has been in the chat already. Warrington Wolves down under. They're doing very well. They're doing very well. The academy winners of last season really doing well. Great draw against New South Wales. That was a cracking game. They've really attributed themselves well against really good opposition down under. So well done to them. We are, of course, going to be doing episode 3 of course, as everybody, if you're new to us, we are sponsored by Warrington Wolves Squad Builder. Warrington Wolves Supporters Trust Squad Builder, give it its full title. We've been partnering with them this season, and they're doing really well. So well done to the young lads down there. I can't think of anything else, Steph. I can't think of anything else. Obviously, I've been away. So have you seen anything other than what I've managed to get in the last 45 minutes before we went on air?
What I can think of off the top of my head.
No.
Simfield has been confirmed by Wakefield.
Yeah. Good evening, Alex Sharp. Oh, the joy. Absolute joy. God bless him. Right. Okay. Let's get into it. So Ashes won. Let's clear this up. Let's have a little chat about Ashes won. Of course, we heard what the members had to say on the final whistle. Well done to all of them for what I felt was a very passionate debate over Ashes game 1, 26-6, of course, to Australia. Now, I put I'm pretty sure I put it on the website, Steph, that correct me if I'm wrong. I did a piece on it in terms of the game, and I said, I think convincing win. Convincing win. I tell you what I want to do. I want to join you tonight, just because I can. Just because I can. Let me just do that. There you go. There you are. I'm just going to join you tonight. There you go. Show a little bit of get a bit of beige going. I'm just sick of seeing black behind my head. Need to sort that out for next year. Need to come up with something better. Anyway, things could be happening for next year. We'll keep that under wraps for now. But yeah, I mean, look. I mean, I put out there convincing win. Convincing win. And we got shot down. It was only 4 tries to 1. The moment Walsh goes in for that first try, albeit I did think the swan dive was a little bit distasteful. I have to say that. If you're that good, who cares? But I just felt, first try of the game, really, mate? Really? Luckily, he backed it up for the rest of the game. Once that first try went in, there was no way England were winning that game. I mean, a lot of people wrote them off before the ball was kicked off. And there was a lot of people saying, weren't there, that, let's be fair, a couple of Reece Walsh knockdowns, it could have gone a different way. They had a couple of moments early doors. And I thought for the first 15 minutes or so, it was an arm wrestle. But once Reece Walsh went over it, it looked easy.
Yeah. I'm trying to take some. I think the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I thought it was a bit of a contest. And I thought, did a bit better than what I thought we would do. And Aussies were quite rightly, a bit rusty to start. But I think it's no coincidence that as we went further into the game, they got better and we got worse. I think the most disappointing thing for me, I didn't see passion. And I don't know whether you felt the same or not, but I've not really talked to anybody about it since the game, but
there seemed to be an acceptance, is what I would say.
I think I'd say it's more like rabbits in the headlights for a few of them, maybe a little bit. But we've seen it before. I mean, we go back to the Morley, quickest yellow card. Sending off in the Test history kind of thing. That game, I remember the ferocity of it and the players going into the tackles, like the lives depended on it. And I don't want to say they weren't passionate about the game, but it didn't come across for me. There wasn't the spark of it didn't feel like you've been waiting 20 years for that game for those players.
No.
And I know some of them hadn't waited 20 years. I know obviously the younger lads, but yeah, and being that, we've got an England coach who's meant to be a motivator. Where was the motivation?
Well, look, do you know what? We'll get into that. Let's have a little chat about that because we can tonight. We'll get into a bit of a debate with regards to this. I've been watching the documentaries,
Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
seen the last one though.
Yeah, I watched that last night, and which was the lead up to the first test. And I would say to anybody, go and watch them. I think chasing. I think it's chasing. I can't remember the official title of it, but it's chasing something, and it's very interesting. It's on the England Rugby League YouTube channel. The first two parts have come out behind the scenes of the Ashes, and before I get into that, in terms of the coaching and the feel and the rest of it, I did have a little bit for the first time as an Englishman. I had a little bit of a moment in Whitby because I watched episode 2, and in episode 2 they cover the Aaron Woods knocking of Sean Wayne, where he takes the Mickey out of him in terms of he's got like no personality and this, that, the other. That becomes quite personal. Chasing History, cheers, Craig. Chasing History, it's called on YouTube. Go and have a look at it. Well worth watching. And I don't like that. For me, I will criticize decisions quite happily. But when you start to get personal like that, with no charisma, boring, this, that, the other, I think that's getting a bit personal. I didn't quite like that. That got to me to the point where you're thinking, if we could do something in the second test, it's highly unlikely, but if we could, I'd love to see what Woodsy's got to say about that. Because it was a bit poor from Aaron Woods, and when you watch it, you'll see what I mean. I just found it very, because one of the Australian journalists asked him about it, and Sean does a little bit of tit for tat where he says, "Well, I wouldn't have signed him," and you're thinking, "Sean, just don't even go there." Really, really poor. But when you watch that documentary, it seems too comfortable. The conversations, I think, for a team that was always up against it, there seems to be an overconfidence that's coming across, certainly in episode 1 and episode 2, and that worries me a little bit. I mean, you've got, as an English player, you've got to go in there with a mentality we can turn them over. But unless and tell me if I'm getting it wrong, it is coming across as overconfidence, and you've got to go and earn the right. And I don't know, it's just really odd.
I think the biggest thing for me, and I don't know if it's because I'm a bit old school in me thinking in this, but where's our enforcer?
We haven't got
Who are the Aussies scared of? Where's our Morley? Where's our Burgess? Where's our James Graham?
Well, we haven't got them.
That's the problem.
We haven't got them, and that for me is a problem. You could argue down the track, there's the younger personnel that are coming through, like Presley Cassell at Leeds, Noah Stevens, we've talked about before. Sam Walters, all of a sudden, he's looking a big omission for me, based on his performances for Wigan this season. Yeah, in Sember, who we know's got a bit of, by his standards, the previous season maybe wasn't as great, but yeah, I agree with you. Got a bit of punch about him. It's just, like I say, when you watch the second one, maybe we'll pick up on that, over the weekend. But yeah, it's an interesting watch, and like I say, it just seems a little bit too comfortable. So let's get into this. Now, look, the end of the game, right? The end of the game, like I say, for me, from the moment he goes over, the moment that Reece Walsh goes over, you're not winning that game. It didn't look, no, from that moment on, it just didn't look at all like we were going to win that game. Never in a million years. And like you say, where was the passion? Where was the drive? And you can even, again, in the documentary, you can hear Sam Tompkins on the pitch and Sean Wayne up in there. It's almost like they're surprised by it. And I get that. They hinted it themselves. They're just not seeing a reaction. So even they're commenting, as you're commenting, that it just doesn't feel right. This, where's the passion? Where's the drive? And don't get me wrong, you can have your views on Sean Wayne in terms of should he be the coach? Is he too close to Wigan? What can't be denied, what cannot be denied, is that Sean Wayne is a proud Englishman. That can't be denied. He wants to go. He wants to go and beat the Aussies. Nothing to give him greater pleasure. But what he wasn't seeing on the field of play was the same desire. I mean, that, and it was almost like a surprise. And I get why that'd be a surprise to him, because I agree with you in that sense that you would have expected, even if you're not going to win, crunching tackles, bit of this, a bit of biff, a bit something to get yourself going, and it just seemed to be, yeah.
I kept saying as we were watching the game, it needs a fight. It needs something to spark us. I think the only one, and he's in the squad this week, is Smithies. I think he could provide that little bit of bit of enforcer type mentality. Obviously, a big NRL experience now, and goes toe to toe with these guys week in, week out.
Yeah.
I think that Smithies would worry them a little bit. Give them something to think about. I think him and Knowles could be a good 1-2 punch in that respect. But we'll see what happens this week with the changes that come in. But
Well, we'll get.
I was just really let down and really disappointed. We all thought they were going to lose. I don't think even the optimistic of English fans thought we were going to win that game. But I thought as a minimum, we would be going hell for leather at them, and it just didn't feel. It felt like like we say sometimes when you play Wigan, you beat before you got off the bus. That's what it felt like to me.
I agree.
It felt like they were happy to get an England cap and say they played for England rather than, and they would obviously come back and say that's absolute rubbish. Well, it didn't look rubbish. It didn't look rubbish on the pitch. It looked absolutely bang on. They looked intimidated by Australia, and that's.
And let's be fair,
he wouldn't be exactly. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
It's understandable. But that was the bit where I thought this is where if we've got an outside chance of beating the Australians, what we can do is throw them off the game, and do not to the extent what Morley did, but just a little bit.
You've got to get in the faces, mate. You can't let an Australian team dictate. You can't let an Australian, like I say, it was almost like here's an open door, lads. We're not up for this today. And whenever you've seen shocks in sport, whether that be in cup competition, in league, whatever, it's because they wanted it more. Not because they were the better team, not because they were the better team, not because they're full of superstars, but because as a collective unit, they just wanted it more. And that, for me, as you quite rightly say, doesn't show. And we'll get, dare I say it, as we have on social media, we put posts out every now and again, don't we, in terms of what we've got to say. And we get shot down in terms of, so better than Sean Wayne. It's not about knowing better than Sean Wayne. It's about opinion. And we're calling what we're seeing with our eyes, and quite a lot of other England supporters are saying the same thing. So it's not that we're taking any great pleasure in this, but as the paying public that are going to the stadiums, that are going into the ground and paying good money to watch our national side, you're allowed to have an opinion. And you're allowed, don't get me wrong, Tom Johnstone, very similar to Mikey Lewis, in the series last year, could almost, was emotional. And I actually thought him and Young had good games, and it meant something. And that's what you want to see. And you want to see it channeled in the right way. Couldn't fault Johnstone. I raised my eyebrow when I saw him in the side, I have to say, but he didn't let himself down. There was a couple of other eyebrow-raising picks as well. But we'll get to them in a minute. Before we get into individual players and what's coming in Ashes 2 and where the changes have been, Sean Wayne at full time says easy fixes. Easy fixes, and again, in documentary 2, Chasing History, he's talking about that when he's talking to the players, that they let themselves down, that, he was gutted for him, that they didn't show their best, is what he said to them. And he's right, they didn't show their best. And he said, they're easy fixes. The problem is, and this is the problem, let's get into the detail. He's right, we didn't complete our sets well. We weren't putting him into corners. And when we did put him into corners, Reece Walsh was coming out doing 40-metre runs down the middle. That's what was happening. So, yeah, he's right in saying that there's certain areas that we weren't doing quite well. But here's the problem, Sean. Here's the problem, right? Here it comes, mate, because here come the stats. Look at the completion rate of the Australians, Sean. Now, I'm sorry, in Ashes 2, it's not going to be 66%. It ain't going to be 66%. I'm telling you now, never in a million years is it going to be that bad. Yeah, it really isn't. So looking at that straight away, you look at the tackles, of course, slightly more there. You look at the tackle efficiency, 84, 83, nothing in it. That'll get better. You'd expect on both sides, to be fair. And then you come to the errors and the pens. 15 errors from the Australians. That, highly unlikely that's happening in Ashes 2. And what we also know in Ashes 2, it's going to be an Australian referee. Now, I'm not saying that Liam Moore favoured England. I'm not saying that at all.
Far from
But
it.
in international rugby league, we know that the Aussies will quite like the fact they've got, they know the Australian referee, the England lads don't, and it's roles reversed. I'm not saying that influence happens. I thought Liam Moore had a good game. I didn't see that he had a bad one, if I'm being honest. I thought he officiated it really well. But this is the problem. You look at that there. This was an Australian side for me that didn't get out of third gear, that would be better again for the experience of Wembley. Now, the only thing is, and this is the only caveat that I will throw at you, and you can have your say on those stats and how you see it in a minute, Steph. The other thing here that might go in England's favour, is that the Aussies love to play at Wembley. Love to play at Wembley. That would have meant so much to those Australian players. And the question is, does Everton have the same gravitas? Will that be a factor? Because what we are going to know is it's going to be a full house at Everton, or we think it is going to be a full house. Because Super League Raw members, prick up your ears, have a spare ticket going. Nobody wants it, which is unbelievable. But nobody wants it. It's frightening. Nobody wants it. Get in the chat if you do. But nobody wants a spare ticket for Saturday, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that could have a factor. We know the Aussies love to play at Wembley. It meant a lot to Paul Vaughan, as an example, at Warrington to get to Wembley. But there's the stats. It's all well and good, Sean Wayne saying it's an easy fix from an England perspective. But Australia have got so much more in them as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't think Aussies were anywhere near the best. It was their, don't forget, for a lot of those players, it was their first game together. It was, they'd not got the chemistry or anything like that. So obviously they're another week on in camp together. They're going to get stronger. Like you said, that completion rate was atrocious by their standards on thing, and they still did that to England. So God help us when they click. It sounds really negative, but I think it's just reality. They are man for man better. There's not one player I think the Aussies would have from the England team in their squad, especially not in the starting 13. Maybe Herbie Farnworth.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yeah, foul. I thought, and again, I felt for Herbie, mate. I felt for Herbie because it seemed like everything was dependent on Herbie Farnworth from a go-forward perspective. I mean, thought about. I mean, I was quite
Dom Young at the back.
Dom Young back, and then in key positions, Herbie Farnworth, where they just kept getting the ball to him. And don't get me wrong, Herbie Farnworth's stats are pretty impressive. Don't get me wrong, he had a good game, did Herbie? 8 tackle busts in the game, 46 post contacts, 128 running meters. He tried his heart out for the badge, did Herbie. But you need more than Herbie Farnworth. And I thought, do you know what? I might get Pelter's ear off. And maybe it was because Herbie looked easier on the eye, but I thought Jake Wardle was not at his best.
No.
For me.
No, but he hasn't been all season, Dave. He's had a decent season, but he's not been world class like we've seen from him before. But you've got to remember the opposition that he's playing against. And that's why like I just said, Herbie Farnworth's the only one who's getting in that Aussie side.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. So there's not really an awful lot other than to say Reece Walsh proved yet again what a superstar this lad is in the making. There's no doubt, and he's in the same conversation as Nathan Cleary, isn't he? In terms of who's the best in the world, he's rapidly got to that podium for me. Incredible performance. I thought some of his runs were sensational, and then of course
just on Cleary, Dave. But just to segue into that, I didn't think Cleary was anything special.
No.
I don't think he needed to be really, but this is the. It's going to sound really negative again, but I try not to be negative. But this is the worrying thing for me, because if he clicks as well as Walsh
and Munster,
it's
Munster,
yeah.
It's anyway. I'll tell you. Look, I mean, and again, now look. Spoiler alert. I'm going to touch on this in a minute. We'll get into the stats in a moment. But in episode 2 of Chasing History, Sean Wayne suggests that John Bateman picked up a knock before Ashes 1. And it's been getting progressively worse. And now he's out of Ashes 2. So for me, that is either we're going to save John's blushes because there isn't nothing there. There isn't anything wrong with him. It's
well, Wellesby's ill as well, isn't it? It's coincidental. It's coincidental, isn't
no,
it?
no.
You're dropping
He's
ill and
come out
injured.
and said he's dropped. No, this is the interesting thing. He said he's dropped Wellesby.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought he said in his press conference he was ill.
No, I've seen that he's dropped Wellesby for AJ.
Right.
That's a drop. And Harry Smith's back. We'll get into that in a minute. He's pretty much said Harry Smith's back, which means Williams or Lewis is being dropped. So people will have a view on that. What didn't work was 2 players that are almost identical playing 7 and 6. I'm sorry, but we said you've got an out-and-out scrum half in. Mikey's kicking game has got better, yeah, but he couldn't drop Williams. So he's put Lewis in at 7 instead of allowing him to play his usual game. And it's going to, for me, it's going to be dead interest. We'll get into the squads in a minute. But Bateman, he has come out and said that, in fact, let's do it now. We'll come back to the other stuff. Here they are. The hammer has fallen on these 3. Now, I said on final whistle, it's nothing against Stephen Havard. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. But I find it unbelievable that somebody like me and many more like me were like, how is Ethan Havard a starting prop forward in an Ashes series? And then after Ashes 1, Sean Wayne comes out in documentary part 2 and says, yeah, he just, he was disappointed in him, yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry, but he can't even get into the Wigan. I mean, he struggles to start for the Wigan first team. It was a nonsense. When I saw that on Saturday, mate, I was blue. Those who was with us at the box, they'll tell you, I was blue. Couldn't believe it that the likes of a Ledsky, with his experience, was not playing before Ethan Havard. And lo and behold, Havard is dropped. I mean, look, he says 37 run meters from 5 carries. Now, that you might say 5 carries, 37 meters. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's 5 carries. He played 21 minutes. I mean, it's not like he did big minutes. You'd expect that to be at least double. At least double. Post-contact meters 13. I think they've been generous there because every time I seen him get it, he seemed to go down. But I'm not having a go. He shouldn't have been in, for me personally, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, he should never have been put in that position in the first place. Even Havard, at this stage of his career, should not be starting an Ashes Test series against Australia at Wembley. And I feel for the lad because it will have damaged his confidence, but he should never have been there for me.
No. And this is where I think we can be critical now of Sean in terms of his selection. We were all saying it's not something we're now reacting to after seeing his performance or the way England performed. Every one of these players on the screen, including Wellesby, and not for his ability, but because he's missed half of the season and only been back a couple of games. And those games, most of those he didn't play at fullback when he came back.
Yeah.
And this is, people say, oh, you know better than Sean Wayne. Well, we were all talking about this before, and now it's happened, and he's decided to drop these players. And it's like,
it's interesting.
But it's interesting. You're right. It is interesting how people who just chat a load of rubbish on a Thursday night about rugby got it absolutely spot on, but the head coach of England couldn't see it.
Well, and that is what's interesting, is the fact that we called it. We said Jack Wellesby's form going into the Ashes, we expected Brimson. We did. We said that last week. We expected Brimson. Didn't happen. He put Wellesby in. And we'll get back to Jack in a minute. Yeah. All of us had a view on John Bateman, especially when you consider who was left out. I mean, somebody in the chat said Morgan Gannon. What we know about Morgan is he'd have got in the faces. He's going over to the NRL. He'd have wanted to lay a marker down for next season. Gannon would have been right up for it. No doubt about it. Morgan's on the up. So, yeah, great shout. Morgan Gannon, James McDonald, we said it last week. Dean Adley, James Batch. We all said we were all surprised by John Bateman. All surprised. Now, don't get me wrong, statistically speaking, go forward, nothing. But to be fair, very few other than Herbie Farnworth and the 2 wingers had any go forward anyway. So he's in good company there. When he's tackling 41 with a 91% efficiency, it's not bad. It ain't bad. But all the aforementioned probably would have done similar, if not better. I don't know. It just didn't create any noise, and it wouldn't have, there's no unknown quantity there for the Aussies. From a preparation perspective, you know what you're getting with John Bateman. And everybody's got to suggest his best years are behind him. Even John's got to accept that. That's just the way it is. So you're right. It's really interesting. It's not that we're suddenly the oracle. We were saying when the squad was first announced, well, we said last week about Wellesby, be interesting if AJ Brimson gets a shot. And I think Joel put him in his team. I said Wellesby would start. I expected Wellesby to start, but we all thought, Will Brimson. And if Brimson has a wow of a game now on Saturday, wow, Ethan have talked about, and John have talked about, but look, let's just take this a little bit of a stage further before we get into Ashes 2. Jack Wellesby, 2 years ago. I mean, again, a lot of commentary coming out of Australia in terms of Sean Wayne has picked too many Englishmen in the English team. The arrogance of it. He's not picked enough Australians in it. And it just goes to show how bad the sport is. And on a complete and utter side note, we then get the incredible piece of journalism with Landis. And Landis pretty much did nothing for the TV deal because he absolutely did nothing to promote the TV deal. But I thought it was a compelling interview. If you haven't seen that, it's all over social media. The BBC, great reporting. Congratulations to them. It was a really good, insightful piece of journalism. Too many English players in the England team, Steph, was the criticism.
They might be right.
But anyway, but on that note, Wellesby. So 2 years ago, we're saying Jack Wellesby possibly could make it in the NRL. It's fair to say the last couple of seasons, not as good. Look, guys, this is the difference. This is the difference. Ashes game 1. 2 tries, not 5. My apologies for that.
I was going to say.
2 tries, not 1. But yeah, 2 tries, not 1, but everything else is right. 16 carries to 13 in... right, for those listening on the podcast, there was 3 carries difference between Wellesby and Reece Walsh. But Reece Walsh did 243 metres to Jack Wellesby's 67. He kick returned 107 metres to Jack's 20. A slight frame, he managed to do 28 post-contact metres to Jack's 7. Again, don't want to labour the point, but even if I did 13 post-contact metres as a prop, just putting that out there, right? This is a fullback, right? 5 tackle busts to 4 in Walsh's favour, 2 clean breaks to 0. I mean, unbelievable. And like I say, class Walsh, but Jack Wellesby, this is a watershed moment for Jack Wellesby because for many, many years, we've all said about Jack, he's got the rugby league world at his feet. We all felt that Jack was potentially an NRL player. That Ashes game 1, and now he's been dropped. This is a watershed moment for Jack Wellesby. And let's not forget, again, going back, Steph, to last season, a lot of St. Helens fans were saying he should be in their team. That they'd rather have Saylor at fullback than Wellesby at the end of the season. So this is a massive moment now in terms of Jack, in terms of between the years, isn't it? Because whether it be for England in Ashes 3 or for Saints at the start of next season, he's got some doubters all of a sudden, and he's going to need to prove them wrong, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to him, he has had a pretty bad injury where he's coming back from. But that's why he should have been nowhere near the starting fullback. Especially as when he has come back for Saints, he hasn't been playing at fullback, and we're going against which one of those Aussie, the Aussie 1 to 13, which one of those played at a position this season?
That's. I mean, the only one probably is. I mean, Carrigan floats between loose forward. He's back there this weekend, isn't he, Carrigan? And they put him in at prop, but there weren't many. There weren't many that were slightly out.
Because they're all excelling and undroppable in their positions,
and all of it of an age, Steph.
Yes, and the thing is, like I said, Wellesby should never have been put in that position. He's not ready for international. He wasn't ready for Super League really because to play fullback because he didn't play him there. He was in a bit of a crisis role at Saints in terms of trying to get a decent back line out there and a round peg square hole situation. So I'm not surprised, but I think I think Bailey Hodgson would have played better than Jack Wellesby at fullback. I'm not saying that Bailey Hodgson should be anywhere near the England team, far from it. But he'd have played better in that game than Jack Wellsby did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And like I said, exactly what we said a few moments ago. I'm not saying I know more than Sean Wayne. The man's won numerous trophies. You know, let's not. You know, Sean Wayne is a good coach. Let's not go anywhere. I think many people see him too cherry and white. You know, and I think there's a lot of skeptic, a lot of scathing attacks on Sean Wayne when the Ashes 1 document episode 1 comes out, and he addresses the KR members of the squad almost with disdain.
Yeah. I think it's going to reap what you sow with Sean Wayne, though, if I'm being honest, Dave. And think the way, especially these recent weeks, the way he's come across in the media at times has been really poor by Sean Wayne standards. And, like we said, by Jake Wardle's standards this season, he's been average. I think by Sean Wayne's standards of coaching in the last few weeks, he's been average. I think his disregard for the Man of Steel was ludicrous. In terms of dismissing that, saying it doesn't matter. What a load of codswallop up that was.
But on that, another, I don't know if you saw this, but another video turned up when he actually got Coach of the Year at the Man of Steel Awards, which was really interesting because on that, he's like, I'm humbled. I'm so proud. Well, hang on, who picked that? I mean, don't know. We know who picked that. It was his fellow.
What's going to come back and bite him big time in terms of his comments this year is I know what the best side is and awards and that, he knows what's best. And then the other comment that'll come back to bite him is they've earned the credit with me in the bank, and it's not about form; it's about what they've done for me previously. Well, I'm sorry, Sean. That's not good enough for the international coach of an England side.
Well, as you say, I mean,
if we can see it and call it, and it's been proven now that we were right because of his actions and what he's done to try now and bail out of the situation. I mean, his squad selection was wrong, wasn't it? There's players who've missed out on that England side.
The problem is he's not giving himself enough options with the squad, mate.
This is my point, and whether it's bloody mindedness, whether it's stubbornness, whether it's whatever it is, if I challenge anybody to say to me that we've gone, and we're not picking on Hazard because he's a good player.
Yeah. Shouldn't have been
how can everybody else see that but not Sean Wayne? And this is where it comes. There gets to a point in certain coaches' longevity where they're going downhill just like players do. And things obviously are not. He's obviously doing things. What we can't disregard is Sean Wayne's a passionate Englishman and he wants the best for England.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that his whatever it is in his coaching mentality at the moment has gone off, and it's not right.
No, you don't. I mean, look,
and everyone could see it.
Everybody, I'm going to go as far as to say even Wigan fans.
Yeah,
even Wigan fans, when that team sheet hit on Saturday. Even Wigan fans must have took an intake of breath at Ethan Hazard, and I feel for Hazard, and I'm not having a go at Hazard. He shouldn't have been put in that position. Hazard for me was never a starting prop in an Ashes series, in my humble opinion. For whatever that's worth, that's my view. For me, Luke Thompson would have been a better shout. It's an Ashes. Luke Thompson has played in the NRL. He's won countless trophies. He's been there, done it, got the T-shirt. You'd be better off with Luke Thompson in the front row. Mikel Ajelecki, another one. Would be very, very surprised if Ajelecki didn't feature this weekend. You go there to put a young lad in. I mean, I could if that was the strategy, and we said this last week, Steph. If the strategy of this Ashes was, look, we're going to lose, and I think as England fans, honestly, but the chances are we're going to lose. If they come out and said, look, the chances are we're losing this Ashes. We're going to do it wrong. We're going to run blood to water. Yeah. We're going to give it our absolute best. We're not going to roll over and have our belly tickle. And actually, this might have given the players a bit of freedom. Somebody scan the QR code. Hopefully, you become a member. We need all the support we can get. But for me, Addy come out and said, look, we're probably not going to win it. But what we're going to do is we're going to plan for the World Cup. So we're going to put experience in, But that experience will be players like Morgan Knowles, who will be a World Cup player next year. He's got the experience. Luke Thompson, probably still going to be a World Cup Cup player next year. So they're the type of players, not Chris Hill, who, like he did last year, where, to be fair to Chris, it was a nonsense. Great for Chris. Good luck to you. You got your cap. But it was nonsense. If you want to have experience around the squad, invite them. They'll come. They don't need to be in the 24-man squad. They'll come anyway and give you the time. They're passionate people about the country. They all come to training. Not a problem. So how do you come out and say, right, we're gonna pick experience, but players who are going to still be in contention for the World Cup? That's the experience we're going for. And what we're going to put around them is players that are the future. Morgan Gannon. These I'll use him as an example. Morgan Gannon. There's one. We could go on. Robertson's another. We could keep talking, couldn't we? We could keep talking. There's so many of them, but we're going to litter the squad with exciting, vibrant young players to give them test match experience. What's the point in picking? I mean, again, it's a risk. I think Harry could. You're a big fan of his. I am. Harry Robertson. I think Harry Robertson could step up to the plate in the World Cup. Of course he could. But wouldn't it have been lovely to give him a bit of an international feel now? So that he's already gone over that hurdle. He's already made his debut. He's already there. And how do you come out and said that? I think all of us are happy days. No dramas. Yeah, let's go. But the fact that he's talked it up, we're going to win, and pick the squad that he's picked. And look, a lot of fans are experts, clearly, because the wave from the fans, I mean, some of the media are holding the tongue. Possible politics, I don't know. But I think when you listen to the fans, which is what I'm trying to represent here, I've given you my personal opinion over certain players, and I'm entitled to that opinion. But I also don't believe that Shaun Wane should be being attacked by the Australians. That's got up my nose. That's really got up my nose. That ain't good. It doesn't. I don't like the fact that an Australian is telling us that we're picking too many English players. That's been in the chat. I don't like that either. Nothing to give me greater pleasure for us to go out on Saturday and give those people a bloody nose.
It needs that. It needs. I don't mind that. It needs.
Well, I don't.
Because it makes you
skin.
Exactly.
But it's got to go under the player's skin.
But it's not, has it?
But we'll find out on Saturday because it should.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
for me, like I said, we could have lived with that. But in closing to this, and before we get into Ashes 2 in a minute, if we lose worse on Saturday, which is a big possibility, more than 20 points, right? That would be worse. Regardless of what happens on the field, that would be worse. And then we lose the third test. Now, there's an argument there. Third test, what Australia, he probably then picks his squad. So some of those squad players get in Ashes 3. Let's not forget that, because that's what will happen. Those ones who haven't had a game, he probably puts them in. They're 2-0 up, he puts them in. So that might affect Ashes 3 in terms of result. But if we was to get worse on Saturday, and then to lose Ashes 3 with changes on the Aussie side, can Shaun Wane go to the World Cup? He's got a contract.
He shouldn't get past game 3. Game 2 for me. I don't know if anyone's ever been sacked mid Ashes, but you've got to have accountability. I mean, George Williams hadn't played for 9 games, had he? 9 weeks before this series. Is that right? Have I got that stat right? George Williams, I don't think played for 9 weeks before this.
No, he didn't, mate. And again,
how can you start? George Williams over Mikey Lewis and Smith combination when he's not played for 9 weeks.
Well, he's going to start with Smith on Saturday. That's a guarantee. So,
but he's going to drop Lewis, isn't it? He's going to start with Smith and Williams.
I think. Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think he's going to do? And I could be wrong when I say this. In fact, let's get to the squads. Let's
drop Williams.
He's not dropping Williams, no. But here's the squads. Okay, I think Litton starts, and Darryl Clark could go, and Mikey Lewis on the bench. I said this last week. I expected Lewis on the bench. Nobody was more surprised than me that it was a Lewis Williams 7-6. Nobody was more surprised than me because you lose so much with Harry Smith. But I genuinely think here, Steph, that what he might do, could be wrong. He could drop Clark and leave Lewis. Mikey Lewis was not the problem on Saturday. They were behind a beaten pack. Harry Smith struggles in that game. I mean, don't say Harry Smith struggles. Harry Smith would have got us into better positions more often. And that we all said this. And all those people who had comments last week, Harry Smith, No. Well, now you've just realised why you need Harry Smith in a team, because his kicking game is far, far superior than Williams and Lewis. Far superior. His game management skill. Don't get me wrong. At Wigan, he plays a lot of the time behind a dominant pack.
Yeah.
That would have been tested on Saturday because they lost the middle ground. But Harry Smith is a better kicker. He's a better game manager. He was a better shout, and he was 100%. He's back on Saturday. There's no doubt about that. Harry Smith starts 7. I doubt he's dropping Williams. And statistically, Williams had a better game. Statistically. Statistics don't always tell you the story. Personally, I think Mikey Lewis is more frightening a prospect for the Aussies than George is, personally. And I'm a Warrington fan. I'm just saying it as it is. Yeah. It could be that he puts Lewis on the bench. I think he starts Litton. I really do. I think he starts Litton. Could be wrong, but that's what I think. And then the question is, what's he doing with Clark? Is he leaving him? Or does he drop Clark as well and put Lewis on the bench?
But the biggest problem for me, right, and this probably comes down from to give Sean Wayne credit here with Mikey Lewis, is he's not coached him for longevity. He's had him for a few weeks or, whatever it is at a time. For me, they took Mikey Lewis's game away from him. He's trying to turn him into a structured halfback. That's not what worries Australia. We had 2 running halves playing kicking games and structure for me in this. And we need Smith to be the structure and pinning Australia in the corners and doing whatever, and Mikey doing things off the cuff. George is not prepared enough for this series, not for any fault of his own, but through injury or whatever. That's why. And this is where the selections it just doesn't make sense. And like you said, we're not saying we know better than Sean Wayne, but it's just logic with some of it. It's so obvious. I can't see how he's not seeing it. Which is bizarre.
Just a quick one for Steve Rudge. He's not in the 20. He's not in the match day squad, mate. Wellesby's dropped. He's not there. So Wellesby, Bateman, and Havard are not in the squad. They're not playing Ashes too. They're just not playing, mate. Simple as that. It's really odd. It's really odd. What we do know is Brimson's fullback. We know that. We know that Johnstone and Young deserve to play. The back line is the back line. Yes. The only change to the 3 quarters is going to be Brimson in for Wellesby. That's a given. Yeah. Then the question is, what's he doing in the halves? It's not really a question. Smithy's back and Williams is undroppable in Sean Wayne's eyes. So we know that's going to look like. I agree with you, Steph. At the end of this series, people might look back at it and go, if only we had Connor and Lewis at 7 and 6. That a lot of people will say that. If this goes Pete Tongue, then for me, there'll be a lot of criticism. Why didn't we pick the 2 form halves in Connor and Lewis and see what they could do? What I've been amazed at with Connor this year, is his ability to manage the Rhinos around the park. That this year has been incredible. And I think not many people would have seen that happening. But he has been exceptional at doing that. Very, very good indeed. That's for the end of the Ashes. There's going to be one thing's for certain. Once this is done and dusted, and if Sean Wayne was to leave post, then watch the media. Watch the media. Because for me, at this moment in time, I am not seeing the media's are being very kind at the moment for me. And I respect that, and I do. But, the printed press are being very, very kind. But I guarantee you now, behind the scenes, they're carving the knives.
I think they're being kind because they expected it. It's not it's a surprise.
No, but if I'm on about if the press conferences and the one-to-ones, they're not. They're asking for commentary. They're not getting into Sean's ribs. It's almost like they're not asking those really challenging questions, like why was he? It's almost like it was a passive. Even Havard's not in the squad, Sean, which allowed Sean to say what he had to say. Nobody turned around and said, if Sean, in hindsight, was even Havard a massive mistake on Saturday? Now Sean Wayne comes out fighting on that, and we know he does. But that's the question.
Yeah. Well, I think that's on the journos, isn't it? I think that's the questions that they should be asking. If it was England football, I know, sorry to swear, and it was in a Euros competition or whatever, they would definitely be asking the tough questions there after a loss like we've just had. But yeah, I just think that the whole, it just seems wrong. It's out to kilter the selection for me.
Yeah.
And it's throwing everything out. And I think we've got players who aren't in form. I think we've got players that aren't, to be fair to them, have not played enough games recently. You need to come into an Ashes series firing on the best form of your life, and we've got half of the team that's not. So
Well,
that's the problem.
Well, I mean, and there's another documentary floating about with Adam Hills where he meets the Australian squad, and this was quite telling because he speaks to Nathan Cleary. It's unbelievable. He speaks to Nathan Cleary. I think it was at Wembley before the first test. It might actually been Doc 2. I can't remember where I've seen this. There's that much content out there at the moment. And he turns to Nathan Cleary, and this is an Australian team that is a travelling Australian team. A couple of weeks out from Ashes 1, and Nathan Cleary turned around and said the moment they got off the plane, they went on a bender. It's just like, it's just unbelievable. Like that's what they felt. That's how they're treating it. And they go out and beat you 26-6. It's like, wow, unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Right, let's get into, I just want to go back to the Australian squad. So obviously, I say Yo, let's not forget he lost Yo. Out with a HIA. So as you can see there, Lindsay Collins comes in. Patrick Carrigan drops from prop to loose forward, which I think is his more natural position anyway. So Carrigan's in at loose forward, and Lindsay Smith comes onto the bench. Now, of course, we featured Collins last week, 29 years of age, 129 NRL appearances, 10 tries, 4-time State of Origin winner, 4-time Anzac Cup winner, 2-time World Club champion, 2-time NRL Grand Final winner. Played 16 times this year for the Roosters, scored 3 tries, 17 tackles, 4 offloads, 445 tackles in those games with a 93.1% efficiency. That'll improve the stat that we saw earlier on with the Aussies down in the lower 80s. This guy averages 93.1. That improves. Of course, won the World Cup in 22. He'll be getting his 11th cap this weekend. Onto the bench comes Lindsay Smith, 25 years of age, prop from the Penrith Panthers. 80 NRL appearances for him, 8 tries in that time. 4-time NRL Grand Final winner with Penrith, 2-time minor premier. He played 26 times this year, 4 tries, 964 post-contact meters, over 3,000 running meters in the NRL as prop. Now, don't forget, Alex Walmsley was the top meter maker in Super League. That's the NRL. They're serious running meters, them. Over 3,000 in 26. That is going some. 943 tackles, 95.7% efficiency he goes for. 24 offloads. This will be his second international appearance. Again, Steph, bags of riches.
No, that's exactly it, isn't it? And he couldn't even get in the first the selection. So yeah, no, but it's not something we're unexpected, is it? Any Australian who makes the test side is a very, very good player. In fact, an exceptional player. The difference is though that none of their guys have been picked because they've got stuff in the bank.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's the difference. To get in the Australian seed, you need to earn it now. You need to be on form now. You need to be playing State of Origin, their selection process, pretty much. And that's the biggest difference. If Cleary had been out for the last 9 weeks, I don't think he'd have played. I don't think he'd have got in the team, regardless of his name.
Mitchell Moses.
Mitchell Moses would have got him.
Bags of riches there as well. Look, the thing that breaks my heart here, it really breaks my heart. And it's like we've been negative, but it's not about being negative. It's about calling what's in front of you. And nobody's more passionate about our game than we are. That's why we do what we do. We love doing what we do. And we're having a good chat tonight because we can. Because what else are we going to talk about? But what really breaks my heart is the fact that I do genuinely believe, and the stats prove it, the viewing figures prove it, Super League is the best it's been for decades these last couple of years. We expect it to get better again. The standard is improving. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Super League is getting better, no question. And then we've, when this was announced, there was a buzz. Ashes is coming. Then you get the squad. And it's playing out. And I go back to what we've said. Ethan Strange now in the chat. Don Kirby. Exactly, Don. Exactly. Ethan Strange. We just carry on mentioning names, don't we? We should have been excited. You get the squad, it deflates. And now, it's not like we didn't say it.
No.
And we have said it. And a lot of people have said it. And look, I get it. And the thing that's really surprised me, and again, just going back to the fact that I don't really think many people are asking pointed questions. Maybe they come at the end of Ashes too, I don't know. But I would have expected, based on what you see. I mean, Sean Wayne says he don't look online. What we know about the Rugby Football League journalists and everybody, they're all over what's online. They're always gauging the feeling. And the feeling has been, from the moment the squad was announced, what we've discussed tonight, with the names suggested. I mean, nobody saw Havard starting. And again, I want to put this on record. I am not having a go at Ethan Havard. I am not having a... It's not even Havard's fault.
He's a good player. Havard's a good player.
Too young, too early. Should have been a more experienced player. That's not Ethan's fault for me. For what my opinion's worth, not his fault. And I feel for the kid. And I just hope it doesn't knock his confidence. I genuinely don't. There's a player in Ethan Havard, but there's so many more. Thompson being the biggie. If what he said is true, he wanted to win this Ashes series. Thompson starts, Havard doesn't. You go in certain key positions, especially in the front row, especially Alex Walmsley.
Robbie Mulhern. Robbie Mulhern would have to give a better performance than that.
But Alex Walmsley, for me, case in point, was our most potent prop forward.
Yeah.
Most experienced, most potent. Top forward in Super League this season. Stats prove it. Came on the field and he punched. And he did punch. There just wasn't enough around him. You put Luke Thompson in there, you put Ledsky in there, you get a bit of... I mean, Mike McMeekin, right that Mike's playing. Absolutely right, Mike's playing. You know what I mean? But even Owen Trout, for me, I'm sorry, Owen Trout is not a prop forward in an Ashes team. Second row, okay. Played brilliant in second row for Leigh this year, but he's not a prop. He's not a prop at Ashes at the minute, Owen Trout. Might be down the track. Not now. So for me, when I saw Owen Trout's selection, he's second row.
Well, you'd have him over Bateman, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, cool. But I'm saying he's second row pick. He's not a prop. So, and this is what I mean.
Owen Trout plays his best rugby at second row.
I agree with you. I see him more as a second row. I think he's built for a second row, mate.
Yes. Yeah, and that's where the Bateman selection was ridiculous. If you look at what Trout's done when he's been playing in that position this year, fully.
Yeah.
And then you put Bateman in there.
Yeah. It's frightening.
The reason why we're being so thingy, though, is because we just can't understand it. And like you said, we're not pretending to be, the best Super League coaches in the world. Far from it. We're just fans with opinions. But it's funny how our opinions have come to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. There you go. Like I said, through it, genuinely, folks, nothing would give me greater pleasure, especially with what I've been seeing coming out of Australia. England getting the job done on Saturday. Nobody would be more delighted than me. I'd even be probably doing a few lives. I'd be that overjoyed. And people could turn around, you've had egg on your face. No, because even if we scrape a win, I'm still saying that squad, for me personally, could have been stronger.
We take it if we win.
We take it all day.
I'll take a load of egg on my face if we win.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Just don't see it. But I'd be delighted if it did. And you know what? If people want to throw stones or what, do it, because I'd be delighted. I would be delighted to be wrong. Something just tells me I don't think it will be, and that's a real shame.
I don't think we'd win, even if we'd have made the changes that we wanted to play. We've just discussed for the past hour. Still don't think we win that game on Saturday.
Or we'd be better placed for the World Cup.
But we still. I don't think there's any team, or even if everyone was in form and everyone was fully fit, that would beat that Aussie team at the moment because they're a special group of players. They're just better. And the only thing, if you look at past Ashes where we've been able to go toe to toe with them, maybe not on rugby league ability, has been on passion and aggression,
Right.
and that's where we've got close to them. And that is what's missing. And that was with Sean Wayne, I can take his, what I perceive as bad selections. He'll disagree for motivation, which he's always been great at. When he was at Wigan, he was a great he got some great stuff out of those Wigan players when he was coaching there. But that's what we didn't see, and to not get that's the concern for me. For the what's perceived to be one of the biggest motivators in British rugby league, I saw zero passion from big parts of that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't tarnish it all. I think there was glimpses of passion from certain players, but I think as a collective, as a collective unit, and this is why going back to the squad, I think Smithies has to play because Smithies has got that in his game. And I think Smithies just roughs it up a little bit. We know that Smithies will really get in. And for me, I think based on what we saw at the weekend, Morgan Knowles, for me, you can almost utilise him as a prop. I think he's more in international level. I think he's probably, especially in that, at the moment, because we lack the likes of Burgess. We lack the likes of James Graham's. So for me, I think, do you bring Knowles as a rotational prop? Off the bench, start with Smithies at 13, just to give you a bit of grunt. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. But yeah, I mean, like I say, Super League's in a really good place. It's a shame. We're going to have a great day on Saturday. If you're going from Warrington, we're at the Bluebell. We've got a coach book there with the members. We're going to be going down on a bus. If you want to come and join us pre and post game, by all means do. The beer will be flowing. We'd love to have your company. Right, like I said, we've got a bit of time, so we'll do a few Q&As with you. How are you feeling, Steph? Do you need a comfort break? Are you okay?
I need a wee.
Right, so Steffi's now going to quickly go away and have a comfort break. So there you go, because I did promise him one, folks. I did promise him one. So he's just gone and nipped away and done that. So while he's doing that, get the questions in the chat. We'll have a quick break. I'll cut this out of the podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll have a quick break, a minute. When Steph comes back, we're going to do a Q&A. So get your Q&As in there. It can be Super League, it can be players, it can be Ashes, whatever you want. We'll answer some of your questions live this evening because we've got the chance to do so. So get them in the chat now. Like I say, we do have one Ashes ticket. If people are interested in that, then they need to get in touch with me. They go to info@superleagueraw.com. That's info@superleagueraw.com to register your interest in that. What we might do is might even auction that one off for Action for Alfie, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what level of interest we get. It might not be that we get enough interest in it based on what we saw. But anyway, yeah, if you're interested in that, then please do info@superleagueraw.com. You could be coming with us. Come on, you old guard, get in the chat. You know it makes sense. This will, of course, be cut out of the podcast. We'll just pick up where we left off with Steph. But yeah, a bit raw this evening, but there you go. There you go. Outstanding. Right. Well, we've got a few coming in, which is great. Get in the chat. Get a couple of questions in there. We did have some earlier in the show as well. See if we can go and find them. Steph shan't be too long. Right, what have we got? So yeah, so like I say, Ashes 2 this weekend. We will be getting to the ground approximately about 1:30 on the bus. So if people want to meet up, photos, little chat, this, that, the other, it'd be great to see you at Ashes 2 at Everton this weekend. That'd be marvellous. Right, here we go. Steph's back. Let's do it. Right, so we had the silly ones about it. Will it be Warrington's year? We're not going there. Right, we've got some chat. Let's get into it. Let's go. We're right away down to the bottom. I think we've got quite a few, actually. Where are we going first? Who do we think's more upset? Sharpie losing Sinfield to Wakefield or Basil losing Doro to Bradford? You're on. Here he comes.
Definitely Alex.
Got to be Sharpie, hasn't it? Sharpie's going to be devastated. Right, Nigel Bennett, a serious question. Loving this. Do we think rugby league is popular enough to appeal to a new broadcaster, Steph?
Yes. I think someone like DAZN or Amazon Prime or someone like that would be very interested. Given the viewing figures, we've been quite. Feels like we've been quite negative tonight, even on the England thing. But the whole part. I mean, I think it's been a great Super League season. I think the Wakefield story's been fantastic. The crowd figures have been great. The attendances have all been really good. The viewing figures have been good. Even for the Ashes game, I think there was nearly 1 million people watching on the BBC at one point. So fantastic. So to a broadcaster, think it's very attractive, and I'm sure there'll be some leverage in that Sky negotiation.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, what we know is as a sport, as a spectacle, and again, Melendez was saying that, in his interview. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. He believes, like we do, it's the greatest sport on earth. The rugby league is an incredible sport. I say all the time, I will quite happily go and watch Wakefield take on Bradford as an example.
Yeah.
And thoroughly enjoy it. And that's not being condescending to Wakefield and Bradford next season. But I watch pretty much every game, and I do. So because there's always something to take out of a rugby league game. There's always something, a big hit, a great try.
Not three times as well is the other big one. So the loop fixtures going.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we just said on attendances, it's proven now that's that second game in the loop where you play someone at home for the second time is always, on average, in pretty much every scenario, nearly, is down on the first fixture. So again, that's another big positive for next season. The other one is we will see another Wakefield. Either Bradford, York, or Toulouse will do what Wakefield have done. I'm convinced of that. They'll be one of those teams will really, become someone's second team next season.
Well, on that point, Steph, having just come back from that part of the world, what a treat. What a treat to have York, because I'm telling you, that is destination. What a destination York is for a weekend. Cracking destination. And, mentioned this to the guys in the box last week. Next season, because there's no magic, Super League Raw will be picking a York fixture, and we're going to be having a weekender where we will go as if it's a magic game, and we'll watch the York against whoever it's going to be. Probably going to be April time that. We'll go up to York. We'll all get together, get a Premier in, stay over in York, couple of beers on the next day. That is happening next year. So Super League Raw, even though magic is not happening, we're going to go to York. And let me tell you, what a great part of the world that is. It's going to be wonderful to have that as a destination.
And Toulouse as well.
Absolutely.
Toulouse is completely, for anybody who's been to Catalan, but not Toulouse. Toulouse is a different experience. Again, it's more of a city break than a holiday. It's not your Lorette and do whatever. It's more of a like going to Barcelona or somewhere like that, fourth biggest city in France. It's a beautiful place and really good food and stuff like that. So lots to look forward to. And I mean, imagine if you could get a double header against York and against Toulouse and Catalan. For travelling fans in the same week. If there's not, if I know clubs can put the preferences in, but that'd be a great one to do for travelling.
They've got to do back to back. I mean, for me, that has to happen. If you want, think of the fans. It should be you play Catalan one weekend, Toulouse the next weekend. You go and put yourself a week in that part of the world, and then you come home and you have 2 rugby league games either side. That's what they should do. I know that takes a lot of organising. Even if they manage to do that for 8 teams this season, it's a result. They've got to be looking at doing that.
Do it for the once, like your Lees, your Hulls,
We'll take
your Wigans, the ones that take, 2000 Hull KR, take
Warrington, good crowd.
Warrington, yeah. So those types of clubs who are going to take that amount of people, that'd be great. Not only for how it looks at Callan, but how it looks at thinking. But it's easy to do. You have Catalan's always play on a Saturday, so all you need to do is put Toulouse fixtures on a Friday, and you play Catalan first, Toulouse on the Friday night, and you go on the following Saturday. Brilliant. That'd be that'd be outstanding a week there, and also save some fans money because they'll, especially the diehards who go to both. That'd be a massive cost saving.
It would.
But yeah, loads to look forward to, like you say, and I know from a destination point of view, Bradford's not maybe up on a lot of people's thing, and that's not being derogatory to Bradford. But what Bradford have got is the nostalgia, haven't they? And if they bring back anything close to Bullmania, from the beginning, which I think they will do. I think they'll do
They'll try.
something.
They'll
Yeah,
try. They,
try.
they, they need
That's
to. They need to.
well,
'Cause
that
they need to
yeah.
get a crowd.
Well, that's going to be
Yeah.
their thing, isn't it? And I hope they do. So there's positives in all those stories. Um, some will absolutely hate, obviously, Toulouse are in there because they hate the idea of French clubs in there. But that's you're never going to please everybody. I look at things a bit more full in that respect. And look at the positives rather than the negatives. And some will say, "Oh, Toulouse will not bring any away fans." Well, I'm sorry, there's quite a few Super League teams who bring no away fans.
Oh, man.
So, and if your club's reliant on away fans coming, you shouldn't really be in Super League anyway.
Couldn't agree with you more, mate. Couldn't agree with you more. Right, Greg Roach, here he comes. Which of the promoted teams do we think will finish higher? We've got all the winter to go, but let's get into this one. Do you know what? I'm going to go York. I think York will finish higher. And the reason I'm saying that is if you look at the league table last year, York finished top of the pile. And both they and Toulouse and Bradford, they'll all strengthen. I'm liking the business that York have done up to now. I probably don't think they're finished. And the league table doesn't lie. At the point of those three teams coming up, forget the grand final. The most consistent team in the league was York, and that is why I will put York. And they've signed well. They have signed well. So I'm going to go York. Steph?
I probably agree with you, but for the purposes of disagreeing with you, I'm going to go Bradford. No, I don't. I think Toulouse are a bit late. I don't think Toulouse thought they were going to get in.
Yeah, true.
And if you look at who Milne and Nicarima really excite me at Bradford. Obviously, it's not the finished team, and I still think they need to bring in some more players. I think York have signed the better players overall, and more than likely they're the ones who could do it. But you never know, do you? There'll definitely be a surprise amongst those three. But I do like that. I like what Milne did at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think he played really well.
He needs to run in games. Ron Milne, for me, he's never been given a run. He's never been given a run, has he? It'd be interesting to see him have a run. Like Ollie Russell in that respect.
Yeah.
Never really got a run of games.
Yeah, so I'll say Bradford just to be different, but I think you're probably more than likely to be right than me there.
That's very kind of you, Steph. Rebecca Frey back in. She comes. Will George Williams be captain at Warrington next year? Yeah. If he stays, I think Williams will remain captain. Obviously, the question is who's going to be, because they do this dual captain, rise captain stuff now, don't they? For example, Hanley and Smith at Leeds. For me, I think they need to put Danny Walker in there as the heir apparent. Danny Walker.
Is he not in the England team?
I don't know, but Danny Walker's the heir apparent. Danny Walker has to be Warrington captain. Has to be. Class player, heart at the club. Danny's the future of Warrington Wolves as a captain. That's where I'd give it to. And I think he's got the right temperament for it as well. People people will say, "Oh, Ben Curry." Ben for me is good player, Ben, but you don't see Ben losing his cool. You need a captain who can rip in. Like perfect example, Elliot Minchella. Elliot Minchella, no captain wants to rip in, but when it's required, they need to rip in. They need to hold the players to account. Don't see that in Benny Curry. Do see that in Danny Walker. So that's my answer to that. Steph, would you have any change on that?
No, I agree. And like I said, I'm gobsmacked. Given the difference Danny Walker made, and we talked about players who've been injured and come back and, not really fired how we expected. Danny Walker came back, a bit like Bevan French, turned Warrington around. Warrington look a different team when Danny Walker's playing.
And
So
hopefully he stays injury free next year.
it's another one we didn't really talk about in terms of the England selection, but Daz Clark, he did okay. He didn't play bad, but Danny Walker,
He took
for
his
me,
try well, but apart from that, Danny
yeah,
Walker plays equally as well, if not better. I mean, Sean Wayne even said that was the hardest phone call he had to make. He shouldn't have had to have made it. I mean, I just don't get how Danny
it's
Walker.
another nail in Wayne's coffin. That it just really poor selection. If he, I'd love someone to put in the chat now that they think that Darryl Clark at this point in the career now is better than Danny Walker.
Should be an overwalker. I mean, I'll tell you what will be box office. Steph in conversation with Sean Wayne, that'd be brilliant entertainment. You'd like that one, Mr. Sale, wouldn't you? You'd go with that.
I think Sean, over his career, has been a fantastic coach. But I think at the moment, everything I'm hearing from him now, at this point in his career, is not right. It just doesn't make sense. Whereas before, he's made sense. And that's this is everyone has got their moment in time where it's just not right anymore.
Yeah.
And his logic for me, but it's not just my opinion matters not a jot. I'm just someone who, like I say, talks rubbish on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night with you. But what we're saying is coming to fruition, and being proven right. Now, my concern is how is one of the best coaches that's ever been in British Rugby League not seeing what a couple of idiots who talk on a podcast.
Whoa! Hey, you can call yourself an idiot. You can keep me out of that. Dear God, behave yourself, man. I think you're being hard on yourself. You're not going to be hard on me as well. Anyway, let's go to Nige Bennett. This is a good. Nige Bennett has gone in after defeat and the alleged atmosphere at Wembley. Yeah, it was a Dyson Hoover. He got sucked out by the Australians. Is it time to drop Wembley from International Rugby League? Is what Nige is asking. Can you have an Ashes series, an England Rugby League side that don't play in the national arena, Steph?
I think the English fans would drop it like a hot potato at the moment. I think it's an inconvenience. I can see it from an Aussie point of view, the nostalgia of Wembley. I think it says a lot that I didn't want to go. I wouldn't pay me money to go, and we talk, like I said, we couldn't get more people who are passionate about the game and wanting it to do well and stuff as me and you. Neither of us went. None of us put our hand in our pocket to go. So obviously, it doesn't mean that much to us. Otherwise, we'd have been there. So for me, I think the key to it is though how much it meant to the Australians to play at Wembley, like you sort of alluded to earlier on in the show. And would they still come? And play over it if Wembley wasn't included. You've got to think that they had a big factor in that happening. For me, no, I would have had it. If you might goes to show, doesn't it, that I know it's less capacity, but Hill Dickinson sold out nearly instantly.
I do think there's a bit with the Everton one. I do think there's a little bit of people wanted to go and have a look at the ground as well. I think there's a bit of a pull there.
That's why it's a good choice. It's not a rugby league stadium. That's just good, sensible thing. But I reckon if Hill Dickinson all did 90,000, it'd have sold out.
Whoa, that's a big shout. But you're possibly right because of where it sits.
I think it would. I think it would.
But I can't. I've got a ticket here going for Saturday, mate, and nobody wants to go.
Well, I think that's more right. If you go onto Facebook at the moment, there's loads of people saying, "Has anyone got spare tickets?" And
Well, we have got a
well,
spare ticket. Drop me a line, info@superleagueraw.com. That's info@superleagueraw.com. If you want to come and sit with myself on for Ashes 2 at the new Everton Stadium, then drop me a line. Right, okay. What else have we got in there? Steve Rudge, good question this, Steve. Liking it, mate. Where would we be ranked for the World Cup next year? Well, let me tell you now, having seen a bit of what's been going on down under, Samoa a year on, don't they look a better team all of a sudden? Wow. Incredible performance as well against Tonga at the weekend. I think Papua New Guinea as well are starting to move. Would I put Papua New Guinea ahead of us? It's going to be a no. I tell you what, it's close. It'll be close. They give us a game. They would give us a game.
lots of mistakes in that Cook
Yeah,
Island PNG.
I agree.
I was quite
Yeah, but
disappointed with
but
with that performance.
is that because they were playing the Cook Islands?
Well, maybe, yeah, there could be a
Right.
little bit of that.
Yeah,
For
well,
me, I'll go on it. I think we're fourth. I think
behind Samoa
Samoa and New Zealand.
and Aussies. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think we're fourth. What is incredible is that since last year, look at the difference in Samoa a year on. And we don't seem to have got that same traction. Whereas
No.
they really have pushed on. Really.
Well, I think the big difference is that they've got a bit of there's it's always like a bit of a chain reaction, isn't it? They've had a few people who've actually, instead of representing Australia, they've decided to represent their actual nation.
But again,
The
they think they've got a
Which is
genuine
great.
chance.
Yeah, which is great, and but because those few leaders have done it, the rest are following now, and we're actually seeing these Pacific nations becoming the force that they should be, which they never have been really in rugby league. So the actual NRL talent, though, I think it's this is where we come back to the pride and passion. They've because of what a few of their leaders in their I hate saying no, it's not community, it's country have done, and how passionate they've been about it, and the pride they feel now to represent their home nation is why instead of playing for Australia, which some of them could have done, they've decided to go to their actual
Yeah.
country that they should be representing, which is great.
Good for the
Um,
national game. Good
and,
for
and,
the
and I mean, we could even be below Tonga. I know Samoa did a job on them, but I think we're close.
well.
I think with Tonga now it'd be close.
Well, I
But,
think that's interesting because I'm going to jump to Craig's questions. He touches on that. Craig, does rugby league place enough emphasis on the internationals, or do you think they are seen as more of a burden? And this is the problem that England have got. I think for many years, yes, but I think this Pacific Cup has been a stroke of genius. And what we're seeing in the Southern Hemisphere is international rugby league is taking off. And the problem is because of where we're situated, and especially if the Aussies do us in Ashes 2 and 3, our status in international rugby league is at is at a crossroads. And we need to, I mean, look, we beat some, but like I say, the World Cup is going to, there's so much riding on the World Cup from an England perspective in terms of our competitiveness. Because if we go to the World Cup and we do fall behind Tonga, PNG, well, why do you have to come over? Why do you have to include? I mean, and Melandi is saying we want a vibrant England. Well, I'm not being funny, but only for so long. History means nothing. It really doesn't. Sooner or later, it's like don't need it. So like I say, massive implications. World Cup is huge for England because they can ill afford to go down. Like I say, the Pacific nations, international rugby league staff has never been higher on their agenda. I mean, this Pacific nations competition is going from strength to strength to the point where nobody wants to come and play us. We're having to pay them to come because they all want to stay there and play against each other.
Yeah, and then we're getting the PNG Chief Centre in the NRL, so that's even going to get stronger. We know how mental that country is over rugby league and how many people play it, and the players that they're producing. So yeah, it's not looking good, is it, in that respect? Because we're a long way away. So we need to up our game in that respect, and it needs to be tied in and a few other things.
I'll tell you what, mate. It might get to a point where the only way we're playing those is that we have to fly down there, that they can't be bothered coming to us, and they'll have the power to do that. If you want to, we'll let you come and play in our competition, but we're not flying over to England.
Well, why are we not?
Well,
why are we not?
Go and test yourself. Yeah, exactly. Nigel Bennett, we're going to have to be quick. We've only got 5 minutes. So, Nigel Bennett, should we trust the latest statement from the Salford owners in a word, Steph? Yes or no? No, neither do I. I mean, that's another one. Keith Lambert has finally joined us. Well done, Keith. He's loved the chat tonight. Keith Lambert, new member. Well done, Keith. Great to have you on board, mate. Outstanding. Question, do you think Leigh will do well with the new signings? I would say yes. You feeling confident, Steph?
Yes, I think they've signed well. I think they still need to sign another one.
Fair enough. First manager to be sacked in 2026. That's a question. That's a belter. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Tom Kinsey. Catalan. That'd be an easy one to pick. I'll tell you what, Sam Burgess gets off to a slow start. McNamara's sitting there. That's not a big decision anymore. So, there'll be a few people putting a bit of money on Burgess, I would have thought. And I have to say, Luke Robinson.
Yeah.
Luke Robinson as well would be. I think you'd like to think that the 3 newbies would get a shot at it.
I think you're right. I think Robin, if not necessarily Luke's fault, but if they have the same injury problems again, or there'll be a change. Luke's definitely number one.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and like I say, we don't want them to get sacked, of course. That we don't promote that, but the question was asked, and you can see how that could happen. Andy Bibby, would Nicholson have been in our squad? Yeah. Even with his 100%. Is losing Magic Weekend a step back for rugby league, Steph?
No. I think it was. We go on about empty stadiums. We just talked about Huddersfield now, and Huddersfield wanted to move to a smaller stadium because of this. The biggest Achilles here, we all love going to Magic. It was great, but from advertising a stadium half empty. Even though the attendance was a full stadium over the course of the day or whatever, just didn't look right. I won't miss it, and I don't want another loop fixture. I just want home and away. That's it.
Well, we're still going to have a Magic Weekend. It's going to be in York. Yay! We'll do that. That'll be a cracker. That'll be a cracker. And then we'll probably have another one as well. I think the plan is that we might do an Huddersfield one in the back end of the season just to keep the old fires burning there as well. Andy Bibby in the chat saying that Ewan Irwin and Bailey Lund will be internationals within 3 seasons in his opinion. Nah, mate. I think Ewan Irwin would set being a starter in Warrington's team in 3 years. Ewan's only a kid. Great player. Great. Don't get me wrong. I think he'll be in and around. He'll be a Warrington. He'll be doing well in Warrington. But you've got to consider who's still knocking about England-wise. And Ewan, for me, could he be an England international? Yes. Will it be in 3 years? Don't know. But Ewan Irwin, without doubt, is a talent. What a great chat. We don't get the chance to do this that often on Super League Roll Week. We hope we've enjoyed it. We got right into the England squad. Do support your country. Nobody would be happier than me and Steph if we were wrong come this weekend. And if you go into Everton, come and say hello. We'll make sure to post where we are on social media. On behalf of myself, Steph, and our newest member, Keith, enjoy your rugby league this weekend. We will be back with more weekly next Thursday. We're going to do Thursday again because we'll have the squads again. We'll see you next Thursday at 8. Bye for now.